Week one, you ready? This week, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the first principle of intuitive eating. I'm going to tell you a story in this video, and I'm going to give you some resources and some ways you can participate this week. Let's go. Intuitive eating encourages a healthy relationship with food and with your body. It promotes physical well-being as well as mental well-being, and scientific studies have proven it to work. Intuitive eating uses instinct and cues from your body as well as your emotions and your rational thoughts to make decisions around food. So the first principle in intuitive eating is to reject the diet mentality. Let's talk about dieting. Diets work. Diets totally work. Short term. Diets don't work long term. Right about 6 months to a year is the sweet spot for diets, and most people within 5 years have gained back the weight that they've lost plus more. And of course, we know this is kind of common knowledge at this point, which is why everybody now talks about lifestyle changes, or we hear about health and wellness instead of diets. But often our health and wellness is just our diets in disguise. We live in a diet-obsessed culture. You get benefits from being in a smaller body, and you get rewarded for diet behavior. We're bombarded with images and ideas about beauty and often conflicting advice on how to obtain it. We're also taught that health only comes in a small body, and the only way to get there is through lifestyle changes. So a lot of us don't think of ourselves as dieters, but we may be doing some pseudo dieting. Maybe our diet is just in disguise. Do you do any of these things? Do you meticulously or obsessively count macros or calories? Do you judge what you deserve to eat? Are you rigidly healthy and inflexible in the name of health? Those can often be diet behaviors in disguise. Now, we're told health only comes in a smaller body, but UCLA did a study with 54 million Americans who were classified as obese and overweight. But when they ran a bunch of other health markers, they discovered that these people were healthy according to their health markers. This suggests to us that body diversity is a real thing. Health can come in a lot of different looks, sizes, and shapes. Now, not only do diets not work long term, I think most of us can kind of believe that and agree on that. But dieting actually causes harm. Dieting does damage. Damage from dieting includes teaching your body to regain more fat and retain more fat when you start eating again. It decreases your metabolism, which is your body's energy needs, making it easier to regain weight in the future. It increases binges. It increases cravings. Your satiety cues atrophy. You don't even know when you're hungry or full anymore. You're more vulnerable to stress. Dieting is correlated with feelings of failure, low self-esteem, and social anxiety. It erodes your self-confidence because you're giving away all your autonomy and power to somebody else's dieting plan. And ironically, dieting is a lead predictor of higher weight. So step one is recognizing and acknowledging that, yes, we live in a diet culture. Diets don't work long-term, and dieting causes damage. Yeah, even that pseudo dieting stuff. So we need to start by changing our minds and rejecting the diet mentality. Here's an interesting study. Overweight patients with type 2 diabetes were placed on a weight loss diets and supervised over the course of 6 years. A control group received no weight loss treatment, and the dieters had worse prognosis than the control group who had maintained their overall weight status. Dieting often leads to weight cycling, which is where you lose and gain weight over and over. And weight cycling increases your risk of premature death and heart disease. You actually have twice the normal risk of dying from heart disease, independent of cardiovascular risk factors and weight, if you are a weight cycler. The Framingham Heart Study looked at more than 5,000 people over 32 years and found that weight cycling was strongly linked to overall death rates, mortality, and morbidity related to heart disease. So dieting not only doesn't help us, it hurts us. So there's a whole book about diet culture called Anti-Diet by Christy Harrison. It's a great book. And I read it about the same time that I read another book by Carolyn Dooner called The Fuck It Diet. One of the main ideas in this book was, fuck it, I'm just going to allow all food. I'm going to go on the fuck it diet. So I read this book and I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to allow all food. Now, at the time, I was restricting a lot of food. I was trying to eat only healthy and approved foods, and I still had a lot of guilt and shame around if I wasn't eating healthy food. But I thought, I'm going to try this. I'm going to give myself permission to eat anything I want. So I'm going to go to a grocery store and I'm just going to see what calls to me. And so I did. I went to a grocery store and I walked up and down the aisles and I thought, okay, I'm just going to allow all food. And it was very overwhelming. I went up and down the aisles and looked at all the food and was like, oh my goodness. It was kind of terrifying. I think I left the grocery store and I didn't buy anything because I was so overwhelmed. So this week, I'm not going to tell you to give up all your diet rules or give up all your plans or all the habits that you had in place. What I do want you to do is start to get curious. Start to think about your thinking and start to pay attention to what you see around you. Like any good change, we need to change our thinking first. Just pay attention and then get curious. Do I have these thoughts? Why do I have these thoughts? Where did these thoughts come from? Do I even know if these are true? Entertain the idea that smaller is not inherently better and that body diversity exists. Entertain the idea that following a strict plan made by somebody else is eroding your body's autonomy and may only be causing harm. Pay attention to diet culture and all the messages we get and your own thoughts about food and diet and your body. Where did those come from? Get curious. Not dieting and not following a plan or trying to eat clean can be really scary and overwhelming. So start with your thoughts. I'm also going to leave below an intuitive eating assessment scale. This is the scale that we use in intuitive eating to kind of see where we're starting or where we're at in this journey. There's also a food rules and family rules worksheet that'll be linked down below. A lot of our rules around eating and thoughts about eating and bodies come from our families, and we can start to examine those thoughts and where they came from, and if we want to continue to believe them or not. You can comment below any questions or anything that you notice. If you're somebody who has followed a lot of different food plans or nutrition plans, there will be a worksheet down below with how dieting has interfered with your life. So sometimes doing this kind of reflection can help us get clear on the fact that dieting doesn't work long term, dieting causes harm, and that there is other options out there. So ask questions, pay attention, get curious, and I'll see you in the gym.